Hi, I'm Everett. Welcome back to my shop. This feels really weird saying this because I haven't really been able to be in my shop and build anything fun for like over a year, but it's finally happening. So I'm very thankful. This is awesome. This time what I have is some of my interesting findings with, my ventures into the beginnings of 3D printing. And when I started doing some reading on it and such, I realized that this is going to be a big rabbit hole. And I know that a number of other people have fallen down the rabbit hole too. But I also realize now, in retrospect, that I was asking a lot of people some really silly questions. And if you're one of those, and I think some of you know who you are, I apologize. So a lot of this I've realized now you just have to learn by doing it and screwing things up. So anyway, life goes on, I guess. So I do have some, bits and pieces. I'm not going to do a how-to on how to build an Ender 5 Pro simply because of the fact that I made a number of mistakes along the way, and I'm just going to do an overview of how I did it and some of the adventures I've had or misadventures I've had since. But otherwise, I'll include a little bit of that later. But to start with, I do want to share some of the stickers that came in. We'll start with this one here from Gary down in California, Gary Brown from Old Iron Machine Works. He sent me some stickers because we had agreed to do a sticker swap a little while ago. And it's, he says, been going through some old mail, realized I never sent you any stickers back. And so it's, well, thanks, man. I do appreciate it. What's cool is I actually got some in my Bar Z stash. So that's totally cool. You've actually got one of yours up there, Gary, and that's totally cool. I'm going to share these with a couple of my machining buddies who are in the area here. So not a problem. We'll still make use of them. So thanks, Gary. I do appreciate it. There'll be a link to Gary's channel down there in the description. By all means, go check him out. The guy's a genius. It's fun watching his stuff. We've also got from Jeff from down in Long Beach, I think. Yeah, I think Long Beach in California. Another home shop guy, another super fancy, another home shop guy sticker. And I just love how he just drew this up. This is home stuff at its best. I like it, man. It's just, yeah, very cool. And this sticker is the real deal, it says. Yep, that's us. We basically make stuff with what we got. This is one that I've been wanting for a while. I still cannot believe after the last few years and getting to know him, whatever, in the last while, and, we have so many common, friends and whatever, I just could not believe I didn't have Chuck's stickers. I could not believe I didn't have Chuck's stickers on my board. So thankfully he was willing to send me some back, and I'll get those up on my board as well. I don't know how I didn't. Sorry, Chuck. It slipped my mind after, like I say, talking to you and stuff for a while. But anyway, if you've seen my channel, chances are you've known Chuck longer than me anyway. So, but if you haven't, the link's in the description. Totally cool. And we've also got Mark from Winky's Workshop. He sent me a few of his stickers as well. Mark is awesome. He is one of the regular panel members for the ARW discussion on Sunday afternoons. They're at Harold's place. Harold isn't hosting them recently. Billy from Knox Machining has been hosting, and DJ from Foxburg's Fabric Cobbling they've been working together to run it for. But basically, he's still the president, and they're the executive officers. Let's put it that way. So it's a lot of fun on Sunday afternoons. Mark and Billy did a really cool collaboration project in which Mark took his homemade wood lathe that's built like a metal lathe. That's a work of art to start with. And then Billy helped him CNC it. So I'll put a link to both their channels in the description, and you go have a check it out if you haven't seen it. I mean, chances are you've seen Winky if you've seen me. And we got Mick's Workshop. He's over in upstate New York. Honestly, he's a new acquaintance of mine. I got to meet him on the ARW discussions and found he found his channel through that. And honestly, he does some really cool stuff. Just like a lot of us, just doing stuff in his home garage, using what he's got for equipment. And yeah, go check it out. He's also a heck of a nice guy. So by all means, go check him out. Links in the description. And it'll it'll make his day if you swing by and have a look. You'll probably sub. I'm probably guessing you would. And we still got more. And this one comes all the way from Tasmania, Australia. Tom. And Tom changed his channel name a while back from Tommy Gun Machining to Tom Make Here and Was Make Here. He's got a couple different ones. These are going up on the board too. I'll put links to his channels in the descriptions below. He gets up to some really interesting projects, things like making some of the ones he didn't work out. He also showed, like he tried to make a pug miller for clay, various different things he does. And the fact that down in Tasmania, we find it hard trying to find equipment and materials. So the Australians and New Zealanders, they have us beat. So anyway, I'll Tom Make Here, Was Make Here. I'll put links to his channels in the description below again. Those will go up on the board. And last but not least, Mark Pressling. He not only sent a really cool postcard from the Sunshine Coast in Australia. It says, "Here are for you stickers for your collection." Some nice words as well. So thanks, Mark, for the kind words. Here's a picture of his sticker. He sent me a couple. I'll share them or three. I'll share some with my buddies. Mark Pressling. Channel is his name. His channel name is his name. So I'll put a link in the description just in case. And by all means, go check him out. He's a former shop teacher, man after my own heart. I only taught high school shop for 3 years, but he made a career of it. So, anywho. I'll get these up on the board, and then we'll see what sort of trouble I can get into with a 3D printer. Mark, let's put you up here. Let's put Mark right up here next to Billy. And that's a little crooked, whatever. Next to Billy and DJ. Whoops, it's a little crooked. Cracks in the back. Nicely done, Jeff. Makes it easier to peel the sticker back off. Let's put you between or next to Billy and Mr. Mechanical. Well, this is nice and square, so maybe you'll shuffle it over here underneath Aaron. Here you go, Chuck. You get to hang out with Aaron. You're both really cool guys, and honestly, it'd be fun to have a visit in person with both of you, but travel isn't necessarily the easiest right now. Mark, I'll set you over here next to the guys too, because you're nice and square. Oh, and your sticker. Get the wrinkle out. There we go. Right, Mick. We got a few round ones there. Why not? Kimber, Steve, and Aaron. Put your round one next to them. If I can get the back off. There we go. Now, it is round, so it's a little harder to get straight. There we go. There we go. And a couple more round ones. Tom Make Here, Was Make Here. Same guy, 2 different channels. All right, and Gary, yours is up here. It's all good, we got one. So anyway, like I say, there will be, I'll have links to everybody in my description down below. By all means, check them out. I'm just glad I was able to keep my sticker board. So Let's go see what trouble I can get up to putting a 3D printer together. Now this won't be an actual unboxing or major, exposition of one of these things. These printers are a few years old, and there are many people on the internet who have way more experience with printers than I do. And there's the little extruder motor mechanism itself, and then the screen interface box there. But I was actually rather surprised at how well it was packaged. There's the elevation mechanism for the Z-axis to move the build table up and down. Make sure you get it in the right way around. I actually got it upside down the first time I put it in because I wasn't following directions, of course. Now this here is the top frame for the X and Y, and one of the reasons why I wanted one of the Ender 5 series was the fact that the Y-axis motor has two shafts coming out of it, so that keeps it fairly parallel. There's the build plate with the little magnetic sheet that goes onto it. And there's this one screw that was in the bottom that doesn't seem to fit anything and didn't even look like anything else on the machine, so I don't know why it was there. Take that piece out, and then the bottom here, those are the vertical rails, or the posts I guess you could call them. Small roll of filament to get you started. I started with that, then I went to some better stuff. What is cool is they give you this little box with all sorts of tools and bits and pieces in it for assembly, and I still have it for maintaining the thing. And then the bottom frame, it's got the power supply in it and such. Just trying not to tear anything off as it came out of the box. Like I say, it was very well packaged. I was impressed. So then we start putting the posts on. I mean, at first I put the screws in, left them reasonably loose, and then tightened everything up at the end just to make sure everything stayed square, and the bolts and screws and stuff were easy enough to get in. One of the things about doing something like this, like I say, I had no experience with 3D printers or anything up until this point, so it was it was interesting to see exactly how it went together. I mean, I've been doing a bit of reading up until now, but it was certainly not the same as actually getting your hands on one. So like I say, I got all the fasteners in on the frame and then tightened them down, then put the elevating mechanism in there. Put the build plate on, then wires, lots and lots of wires and connectors, and I had to redo the routing 2 or 3 times just to try to make sure things didn't snag when it was traveling through its paths, X, Y, and Z. So there was some rearranging of things here and there as time went on. As I say, if you ever get one of your own, you'll figure it out. Just read the manual and read it better than I did. So what you have to do is you have to manually level and adjust the air gap on the beds on these. There's no real... I know you can get aftermarket kits for stuff like that, but I just don't want to deal with it. So the first few prints here in messing around I've found had a bit of an issue with under extrusion. I'll get to that in a little bit once I figured it out. But this is one of the first test blocks I tried printing. I was printing it with a brim on it, and I mean, it may look okay in pictures at a bit of a distance, but you'll notice that it's actually quite under extruded later on. Yeah. So here's the 20mm cube. The cube came out nice, except again it was still under extruded. So I tried printing another project here, a bit of a name tag sort of thing, but the edges were delaminating, so obviously very under extruded. I found out that it was measuring the filament in volume, not by linear length. So if you go through the settings like this to here where it says extruder millimeter cubed, and put that to linear, turn it off so it goes to linear. This here's a project I did for one of my next door neighbors. He's a total Star Wars nut. And then my wife's a nurse, so made her a little RN, little RN pin. Downloaded that from Thingiverse, a couple different sizes. Yeah, a little sticker in her back window of her car. Then one of the other things, my brother-in-law wanted some counters for some of his tabletop gaming, and so he sent me the Thingiverse link, and so I printed a bunch of them. My nephews are into Pokemon, so I did a bunch of low poly Pokemon characters for them in different colors. I got to learn all sorts of things about Pokemon I never learned before, didn't know before. And then another buddy wanted an infinity cube, so I had to figure out what those are and how to print one without a fail. So finally I got some printed off that worked fairly well. A couple colors still have trouble with, but some of them actually turned out pretty well. Actually flexed like they should instead of breaking. And then everybody has to try a benchy. So after fiddling around a bit in some different settings and different ways of trying to do things, I figured I'd try a benchy. And that little gap on the edge there, James Klaus has suggested a couple different settings and really seemed to, in later prints I was still getting those, so once he told me to adjust a couple things, then those were lessened by far, that little gap on the side. But overall, for a newbie and, you know, a printer that was only assembled for maybe a couple days and still screwing around with it, I didn't think it was that bad for a benchy. And this is for any of you all who are Eastern European first-person shooter game type fans. For years I was a Stalker fan from the GSC game company in the Ukraine. And yeah, so that's a duty faction stencil for spraying, you know, things. This here wound up being a bit of a failure. I was going to print off a frog for my Uncle Mark, and this one required some support. Problem was the support didn't work and fell off the front, so this is what I wound up with, was a set of frog's legs. Well, when you're given frog's leg, make frog leg soup. I made I designed up a can and printed it off and gave it to him like that. So it was a pencil holder for him. These are can holders. I sent a bunch of these to Stan for the Barzy Summer Bash. Retrospect, next time I print some, I think I'll use PET G or something a little bit higher temperature, because apparently they'll warp in warm weather. Whoops. So hopefully if you got one, it'll still work for you. This is, I was making some bottles for my daughter for her babies. She's 2. This here is a fun little project a buddy of mine, Owen, asked me to do. He's into using old school retro lenses on newer cameras, and apparently they make different, or have designs of different housings that you can assemble over top of the old school housing itself to make it fit newer style mechanisms for autofocusing and zooming and stuff like that, hence the gear teeth on the outsides of some of the rings. I had never heard of this before but then he sent me the Thingiverse link, so I printed some of these off. I haven't seen any pictures from him with it on the lens. He's super busy as well. He does freelance video work, that sort of thing. But yeah, that was kind of a fun project. This is another portion of it, including the support. It's always interesting to see how the support is generated in the slicer, you know, in the different shapes that are required just because of different features. Like those outward jutting pieces are just, that's where there are holes for screws. So it was using that to support where the upper side of the hole was. Then this is just the outer housing itself, the outer part that clamps it all together. So I don't, like I say, I don't actually have a lens in it, but you get the idea. Thankfully, I'm finally got a shop to work in. I'm finally starting to get moving again. I'm very thankful for my 3D printer. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to be able to do more with it as time goes on. It's been a real learning curve, and I made lots of mistakes. And like I said before, to all of you who I asked really silly, probably aggravatingly annoying questions, I apologize and thank you for your patience. I think you all know who you are, but otherwise, thank you all otherwise who come by. Thanks for subscribing, thanks for the likes. If you don't sub, thanks for coming by anyway, it's totally cool. And yeah, comments, emails, you know, pictures of the stuff you're working on. I like to hear from people all over the world. It's really cool. I've learned new things from people, gotten really good suggestions and corrections if I did something, you know, I could have done something better. So I appreciate the feedback. Otherwise, again, thanks everybody. I'll see you next time.